My name is Little Flower. I'm coming at you from Houston, Texas. My talks are primarily focused on gang stalking and gaslighting. I've been gang stalked and gaslighted over the course of pretty much 25 years. First time about the age 24, full on really hard, and multiple weak attempts throughout the course up until the age of 49 and 50. So, advice. This talk is about advice. How to handle the gang stalking and gaslighting. Okay, so if you're new to it and you're just now realizing what the fuck is going on, congratulations, you're waking up. All right? And that's a big deal, is to be waking up. And so you might wonder why. The end game is to cause their intended to commit suicide. Why? Well, there's money in harvesting organs hunting. So biggest advice, first and foremost, if you have dedicated yourself as an organ donor, you need to stop that shit. You need to revoke that. How does one do it? Go online and download advanced directives and fill that out, have it notarized, and consult what to do from there. I know that driver's licenses are like, hey, do you want to be an organ donor? And you're like, well, sure, of course I do. Honey, let me tell you something. This is a new day and age. This is the age of the digital era and the age of biohazard. So, number one, you need to deflate the incentive to exonate the profits of going after you, because if you're not an organ donor, man, you know, it doesn't mean that they'll give up, but you've taken away the incentive for it. This is the deal. It may seem mean to not being an organ donor, but there's a lot of money in it for corporations. And additionally, there is technology out there that can, it seems so crazy, they can basically 3D print organs. Check that shit out. Yeah, excuse me? The technology is out there. The technology is out there. But we haven't heard anything about it. Why? Well, because it's much cheaper than harvesting right now. So this is a new era, and everybody really needs to revoke being an organ donor. I mean, you can still do it if you want to, but in the event you ever end up as an intended and become gang stalked and gaslighted, there's another video on it that deconstructs all of that. Trust me, you don't want any part of it. You do not want any part of that. So, yeah. Revoke being an organ donor. That's your first and foremost. And I think it's just good practice for the public to not do it. Because it would be like back in the day where third world countries, people would have to be really careful because they could end up an organ donor and donate it to science and have their body $50 for this cadaver that you can get a skeleton out of. Guess what? That shit is alive. In this country. I'm going to say that again. In this country. So that information as you will. Poof, you've been warned. Okay, and then here's the other thing. Biggest word advice. Number one, revoke being an organ donor. Go about it in your own frame and fashion. And if things were just right in your face, you might want to go public with that pretty quick. And you might want to think about going public with your documentation to defray all of that. Because if you throw it out into the eye of the public, something happens to you, guess what? They have a good place to think about what the fuck happened. And, you know, look into that. So at any rate, go public if you can. It was just so in my face. I realized me going public with that was like, well, you know, that career. Oh. So, yeah, I bit the bullet on that. And I'm calling on my faith. So, am I worried about it? Heavens no. I've accepted every outcome. So, but the other word of advice is an armed society is a polite society. Think on that. What do you think that means? An armed society is a polite society. Well, I understood that in the terms of, hey, you know what? If everybody will carry their own piece, their own like Glock or their own Beretta 9mm, maybe even Tommy gun, I think a lot of us would behave a lot more. I had met a girl from Switzerland back in the 90s, and everybody got issued like, I think an M16 in every household, and they were all taught how to use that gun. Their crime rate, ain't nothing like it does here in the States. Why? Because an armed society is a polite society. All right? Now, I'm not saying everybody go out and get a gun. No. What's it? A beacon, sure. So you can always be found. A beacon. What I mean is, in this digital era, I hate to tell it to you, but you just may actually be the superstar in your own Truman Show. And it's not to scare you. It's to wake you up, okay? It's to wake you up. Because there's a lot of nefarious activities going on. And this is my education powwow with you to wake you up. Okay, but that aside, in this electronic digital era, you need to record that shit. As a practice. Yes, as a practice. You talk to a boss, a supervisor, you talk to anybody on the phone. There are apps that you can record everything and have it poof set right to like the cloud somewhere, okay? You just have to research that for yourselves. I always let my friends know, yeah, all of my stuff gets recorded, you know, and whether or not they forget it or remember it, that's on them. That is on them. All right. But I initially did it because it was so much easier just to set it and forget about it. And anytime I dealt with like utilities, especially AT&T Uvers, I had that shit recorded. I'll be like, honey, you said, because you never know when the need arises. You know, it's just so much easier. Boom, done. Boom, done. That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. When you're in the throes of being gang stalked and gaslighted, I wouldn't tell anybody about that. I'd wait until the shit calmed down and just kind of casually mention it to whoever, you know? Because I look at it like as a grace of respect and to my friends. And so, but especially when dealing with your supervisors and coworkers, record that shit, honey. As a common practice. You could have, you can use your phone. You can actually get a digital recorder. Just put that shit in your safety bank, and just poof, let it go, let it go, let it go. And you can stop it if you want, every now and then, to break it up into files, and just store it. Just store it. Just store it. Okay? That is what you need to do. Because 10 to 1, if you're being gang stalked, they're going to be throwing some wicked ass shade on your character in the work field. That's part of the modum operandi, the MO of this diabolical game. And I'll tell you what happened to me. I, as a practice, do that because I'm shrewd, and I've been fucked in the past. And I was dealing with a particular supervisor that my red alert flag went, whoop, this dude ain't right. He's not right. He's not right. So he calls me up one day, and I'm like, okay. So I took the call and recorded. And this call, he accused me of stealing a narcotic. I'm going to say that again. I'm a paramedic working at a private agency. And I love the agency. Loved working there. I was very proud to be working there. And I asked him, okay, what date are we talking about and what truck? So supposedly it was 3 weeks later. 2 weeks later. And not my regular truck. And I always sign for the narcotics. Always sign like I'm supposed to. And so I'm like, okay, can I see the narcotic log? He tells me no. Excuse me? You said no? No? This is a professional agency, right? Why would you say no? Why would he say no? So I'm like, okay, don't argue with the man. Okay, so I'm like, okay. Can I see it whenever the investigation is completed? Because he's like, I can't let you because it's still under investigation. Bullshit. And so he said, yeah. And he never showed it to me ever. And his whole ass reason for waiting 3 weeks was that, the truck was out of service and it just sat there. Honey, that narcotic log is supposed to be signed by a supervisor every day it's not in service. Hello with that, right? And so fast forward some time later, here I am getting gang stalked and gaslighted really hard, but I already had the shade thrown on my character in the workplace. But guess what? I have that recorded. And it's kept very, very safe. In multiple places. Not done. So in the event anything ever happens to me between now and whenever, there's multiple suspects. There's the owner of who I worked for. There is the supervisor who did that. There is the manager, the director of operations, which I really like, who's in the middle of it all, that I actually trust. And then there's the ex, who is so bitter because I lashed out at him whenever he slept with my best friend in my camp. In my tent and all that. There's multiple suspects. So at any rate, this is why I say an armed society is a polite society. You just need to go around recording that shit everywhere you are. And it's not to make you paranoid. It's just say, you know what, I'm going to put it in here. You don't even have to deal with it. Just record it, store it, multiple places, in the cloud, on a hard drive, in a card, and stash them places. Okay? And when you're ready to deal with it, it's there for you. So, number one, biggest advice, revoke being an organ donor. Look it up in your state, look it up. Tell your friends, tell your kids, tell everybody. Being an organ donor is a thing of the past. Especially when there is technology out there that can basically 3D print organs. Look it up. The year is 2021 and the month is January. And say 5 years, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, go back and watch this video and be like, oh my God, the girl is right. The girl is right. I know I'm right. It's just going to take time for you to catch up to that tech, okay? So as intended, number one, biggest advice, revoke being an organ donor, start there. And an armed society is a polite society. Record all of your stuff. Record all your shit. Everything. So, that's it for now. See you next time.
See me bubbling quietly.